Hi guys, and welcome to Bobby's Business Club, the chat show. This is our very first chat show. Anything can happen. We're recording it live, and I'm really grateful for the guests we have on today. Bobby's Business Club is a unique networking group that allows flexibility within networking, and we do it all online. It was built after 2 years of networking around Australia, building my other business, which is Simplified Recruitment Solutions. And because of the success I had from networking, 95% of my clients came from networking, and it was all online. To give you an idea, we've got around 85 clients at the moment, and 95% of those all come from networking and meeting these beautiful people you're going to meet as well. So we have some brilliant webinars coming up with the guests we've got on the screen today. All the details about those webinars are going to be in the description, and if you can also reach out to me if you want to learn more. So moving on, and we'll just like to introduce some of our guests today. So if you'd like to say hello, we've got Carmel Brown and Belinda Fife from the Proven Group, who deal with all things HR. Hi guys, how are you?
Hi, very well, thanks. Hi everyone.
We have Steve Sweeney from the Australian Referral Training Academy. Hi mate, how you doing?
Good, Bobby. Great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you very much. And we have the wonderful Sarah Bowling from The Perfect Pitch. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, Bobby. Thank you so much for having us on the show today.
It is my pleasure. And first of all, I would love to start with the Proven Group. The Proven Group provides award-winning HR services, safety, industrial relations, recruitment, training and resume writing services to employers and job seekers in Ballarat, Geelong and Melbourne, as well as servicing clients Australia-wide. And the first person I'd love to speak to is Carmel Brown. First of all, I appreciate you so much, Carmel. We meet every Monday. We have great chats. We talk about the world and everything, and you are a great start to my week. But Carmel, welcome. Tell us more about the Proven Group. How did it all start?
Yeah, thanks, Bobby. Thanks again for having us on today. So the Proven Group started 11 years ago. We had our 11th birthday on the 11th of January. So how it all started was with resume writing. And when it started with resume writing, there was just the one pillar of the business with 2 staff. And over the 11 years, it has grown, as you mentioned before, the services that we provide, now into 7 pillars. And also with a team of 17, including associate partners that we work with as well.
That's brilliant. Being in recruitment and being in business, I always look at people who are where I want to be in years' time, and you're definitely one of those people, especially with how you've grown and where you started from, and then that leads you to where we are now. And I believe you're writing a book. What's going on there?
Yes, I know. Well, I thought I didn't have enough to do with everything that I do, and I thought getting up at 5 in the morning, I should start getting up at 4. So we thought if we start writing a book, all jokes aside, it was because mainly started that I am blessed to have the team that I have. I've got a wonderful, wonderful team around me. We have a great culture, and yes, we are happy as well, because you will find out in the book, just because you've got a happy team doesn't mean you've got a great culture. And wanted to be able to share that with the rest of the world out there and business owners, and the 10 top challenges that we hear all day, every day. And they're always the HR issues that businesses grapple with all the time. So instead of grappling with them, they need to read the book, give us a call so they can get on with doing what they do best, and that's serving their customers.
That's so right. And recruitment and HR always go hand in hand, and especially when we talk about the corporate world. And I used to cringe at the thought of dealing with anything in HR. I'd be like, really? You've got to deal with, not only have you got to deal with the issue at hand, sometimes you've got to deal with personal issues, something might be going on at home, and all these things come together, and it's, let's go and speak to HR. Let's see if we're going to help. So you do a great job, and I can highly recommend speaking to professionals, especially in the HR arena. But I also hear that you are collaborating with a company in the UK. How did that come about?
Yeah, that was an interesting story. So we were approached by a company in the UK who specialise in HR and safety over there, and they were looking for HR partners here in Australia to be able to look after their clients here, because as we know, in the different countries there are different legislations, although Australia does have the most complex legislation. So how it came about is, Tim from actually BNI in Sussex reached out to us, to collaborate with them, which we did. But probably further on from that, we actually also have a client in Geelong who have staff in the UK and the US as well. And when they approached us to help them with HR here, because we provide training and other services for them, so unfortunately at that stage, I said, unfortunately, we don't know the UK law and we can't help in that space. Then 2 days later, I get the email from Tim. So after I emailed him back, I then rang Jess and I said, hey, I've got a connection for you, and introduced Jess to Tim, who then has been able to go on and then introduce Jess to one of his contacts in the US to look after her staff over there. So that was a real win-win-win. There's three there. Yeah, win-win-win.
And the power of networking, and the world is such a small world now, especially after the last 2 years. It feels like the UK is like 2 seconds away when, really it's a world away, but it's great what technology can do and amazing what networking can do as well. But as we know, Carmel, that the teamwork makes the dream work, and we have a wonderful colleague of yours, Belinda Fife, on the call as well. Welcome, Belinda. It says here, welcome to the chat show, and it says here, there's an old saying, business would be easy if it wasn't for the customers and staff.
Usually that's where all the problems are.
Don't know if it's a business without those, but since we help the staff side of things with less headaches and happier teams and more success. Welcome, and please just give a bit of an intro about what you do for the Proven Group, and your floor is yours.
Perfect. I'm one of the senior HR strategists, of which there are quite a few of us now, and the lead trainer, and we're just bringing on some more trainers at the moment as well. And as Carmel said, everyone's so used to doing things online these days. We offer all of our services online Australia-wide, but also a lot of face-to-face stuff too. So we work a lot in the transformational space, in the leadership management space, but also the nuts and bolts HR, helping businesses comply with Fair Work awards and all that sort of thing.
Perfect. And how long have you been a HR expert?
Oh, at least 20 years, I think. If you go back far enough in my career, I was an accountant for 8 years, and there's probably a few more years that I've been in the workforce there. So now I'm giving away my age, but there you go. And had the sideways move into HR and love it, because I'm a people person at the end of the day. And I like helping people resolve whatever it is, the issue that they've got at that particular time. And because of the experience I have and the team has, there's generally not an issue that we hear from a client that we haven't dealt with before, no matter how kind of serious or hard it seems.
Yeah, I would imagine you've seen a lot of changes through that time as well, especially with software. I remember my first recruitment job, there was no database. It was resumes in the filing cabinet, and now we have these wonderful systems. What kind of systems do you use in the Proven Group?
We've got a human resources information system which covers all of the documentation and compliance side for both HR and safety, and we're also added a few more recently around job adder from the recruitment perspective, which automates a lot of our stuff, and we're also playing at the moment with a copywriting software, so it's really good. It's helpful.
They all help, and anything that we can do to streamline our processes is always going to help the client at the end of the day. So a question for you is, what are businesses looking for support teams post-COVID? The resilience, gratitude, etc.?
Yeah. So a lot of teams out there have done it hard during COVID. So they're really looking for, what can I do with my team to pick them up, to thank them, to, show them that they are valued and that they've put in that extra effort during COVID. And we really appreciate it, because most teams are a little bit tired at the moment. Maybe they've had a break or a holiday, but really it's not like you can travel very far and do very much with the family. And so people just have a bit of fatigue happening at the moment. So we're seeing a lot of interest in resilience, training and tips and tricks that we can pass on to people around how to be a little bit more resilient in these times, which are hard.
Right. It is very hard, and it's strange. I thought things would be getting a bit easier now, but it feels like there's more tension, especially with so much going on around the world, and we've got obviously the elections, and no one knows what's going to happen. So it's always kind of everyone's kind of standing back a little bit. So what is the biggest pressure on businesses at the moment around finding staff?
I think that's absolutely the biggest pressure they've got. You would agree, Bobby, I'm sure,
Yes.
in the recruitment space. It's just difficult regardless of industry or level of role. There just doesn't seem to be any people around for jobs, and you've really got to go outside the square to find someone to fill even the kind of easy roles, you know, the hospitality roles or the receptionist roles, the kind of easier ones that you would think to fill. They're just hard.
It is really difficult at the moment, and if we can offer more flexibility and listen to what the candidates want and what the employees want, it's going to be a lot easier for businesses in the future. It's only going to get more difficult over time. So I definitely agree. So you've got an interesting one here about Blockbuster Video. What's this about?
Well, this was about us trying to get our head around the current environment around recruitment. So what we actually said was it occurred to us that the external environment has changed, as it did for Blockbuster Video many years ago. I don't know. You remember Blockbuster? I'm old enough to remember Blockbuster Video. So they had the store, and you'd have to drive there, and you'd go in and you'd have a look, and they'd never have the new release because somebody else had always rented it. And then when you did get it, it wasn't rewound, and or you forgot to take it back on the right day, and you got a fine. Imagine fining your customers now. Like, it's just a phenomenal idea. So the external environment changed over a number of years as technology increased, of course, and now we have Netflix. So what I find really interesting about that is, most people these days the idea of getting into a car and driving to a shop to get a movie is just ridiculous. You can just click a button and it's all there on your screen, and you've got a great choice of what to actually do. So we're likening the current environment for candidates to moving from Blockbuster Video to Netflix. And so if the external environment has changed, the recruitment process has to change. It's just got to change. And this is what most business owners don't really understand. It's not like you can sit back and say, I'm really busy, I'll look at those candidates next week. They'll be gone next week. They'll have picked up another job, and people will move really quickly now. So people hung on to their jobs during COVID because it was a bit of security and they had sick leave or whatever. But now they'll move and they're getting poached. That's the other thing. So, we're finding more and more we have to go out there and be proactive and tap people on the shoulder to get candidates.
That's definitely right. And people are just, out for themselves, and which is obviously totally right. And I think over the last 10, 15 years, a lot of candidates have been given the runaround by not only recruitment agencies, but also businesses as well. And it's now coming to bite them on the bum. And I think it's going to be like that for a while. And, all power to those guys. And I think that if you can get more from someone else, then why not go and do it? It's been a hard 2 years, and people have got to get on with their lives.
That's it. And the getting more is not just financial. It's the flexibility that you already mentioned, and it's the cultures. So people are moving because they want to work in a place that suits them, suits what they want, understands them, can offer them the sort of other employment conditions that they're actually looking for. Money's a part of that, but it's not the whole thing. So just offering big money isn't enough these days to keep people or get them across. It's part of the equation. I'm not saying it's not important, but the flexibility stuff and the culture stuff we're finding is much, much bigger when we ask our candidates why they're looking.
You're right. Thanks so much, Belinda and Carmel. Thank you so much for your time. Guys, you can come and stump the HR professionals in Bobby's Business Club's HR Q&A on the 1st of June at 11 a.m. Always online. There'll be booking details in the description, and also contact details for Carmel and Belinda if you wanted to reach out to discuss more about their services. Thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate your time. And our next guest is no stranger to networking. The Australian Referral Training Academy teaches business owners and their sales teams on effective delivery systems for referrals. This led to the Referral Guy Roadshow, which has turned into the Referral Guy Interviews You. So, Mr. Steve Sweeney, welcome to Bobby's Business Club, the Chat Show. We are honoured to have you on our first one. If you want to do a bit of an intro about who you are and what you do, and we've got some questions to ask you.
I'm sure you do, Bobby. I think I'm going to be under the griller. You're going to have the blowtorch on me. No, this is really fun, Bobby. Number one, thank you for this. This is great. This is a great forum for all of us, and hopefully the viewers and listeners will be getting some tips and tricks out of it as well. So we all, I'm sure, appreciate what you're doing here. In terms of what I do, yes, I run ARTA, the Australian Referral Training Academy, and that's a really fun gig. It allows me to do what I really love to do, which is to go into usually the business owners in the SME market and teach them what I call the art and science of attracting referrals. And an associate of mine, so we talked about how referrals have worked for Carmel and dotting contacts around the world and things. The same thing has happened to me, whereby an associate of mine had a gig on a radio show, and I said to her, I want one too. Anyway, and so that led to me going to the radio show or the radio station owner and saying, "Hey, what gives, mate? Come on." Anyway, it wasn't quite like that, but it was a lot of fun. And so yes, now I host my own radio show, which is called The Referral Guy Interviews You, and I love it.
Beautiful. So let's start with the radio show. Tell us more. I think it's great. Anything that's going to help businesses get their name out there and also offer educational training to businesses as well is always going to be a winner. But yeah, I'd love to learn more about what it is, how you do it, and yeah, tell us more.
Sure. So in the past, so for about 9 months, I think it was, I was delivering content. So my ARTA training was what I was about there. So training business owners to attract referrals. There's a whole lot to that. But between you and me, Bobby, after doing it for 9 months, I started to repeat myself. Anyway, so I thought to myself, I can't keep just repeating myself week on week on week. You're going to lose the listeners. That's no fun. So I had to change it up. What was the change? The change was to get interviewees on whose businesses are not sort of constrained by international boundaries. So if you are the sort of business person who can do work in other places, so it obviously suits people like Carmel. And by the way, Carmel will be on my radio show on June 15 at 11 a.m. Sydney time. Just a little plug there for you, Carmel. Looking forward to that. But yeah, so business owners, I've had people on that are from Latvia, from Hungary, from the US, from Australia, from Southeast Asia. It's so much fun. It's so interesting to be able to meet them and understand a little bit about what they are, what they offer, who they are, and how they can bring their service to the world. It's a lot of fun, Bobby.
Beautiful, mate. I love it. And so what started the business? How did it trigger? What were you doing before, and what led you to the point to start your business?
So with ARTA, the Referral Training Academy, what the trigger was, I used to be involved in BNI, as many people will know, and the boss one day couldn't turn up to do the training for whatever reason. Something happened in his world, and it just, it wasn't possible. It happens to all of us from time to time. So he said, "Steve, you're on," with about an hour to go. I said, "I don't know what to do." Anyway, so I went in there and I did my thing, and it was flying by the seat of my pants, which was totally not who I was at the time. When I used to have to give presentations, I was the sort of person who would write everything down, and then read and look up and read and look up and read and look up. Well, that's a pretty crappy way to deliver presentations, Bobby, but that was who I was. But it was that experience of not having any time to write anything down, which forced me well and truly out of my comfort zone. And so I did the training, and people said nice things about it afterwards, and I have never given a presentation the same way again. In terms of reading from a script, it's now largely having dot points and whatever and working from that. But that's what initially triggered me, and I thought, you know what, I love this, I want to do more of it.
Perfect. And seeing as that we're talking about networking and referrals, and what's the biggest tip that you could offer somebody?
If you are going to, referrals come from relationships. So surround yourself with the people who are best suited to give you those referrals. they are your what we call your natural referral partners. So I can't tell you exactly who they are for any individual because it depends upon the target market that you service. But knowing who your referral partners are will save you a whole lot of time and effort and energy and heartache and worry and blah, blah, blah. You know, there's a lot of people out there who go to networking events and networking events and networking events, and they give and they give and they give and they get nothing back. They're not surrounding themselves with the right people. It would be a large part of it, I bet.
Definitely right. And, you know, like I say, I've networked a lot over the last 2 years, and we're all networkers on the screen, and we all have limited time, and we've got to put that time to best use. And you are so right. Surround yourself by great people, and they will help you as much as you will help them. So being a rookie, this is our, like I said before, it's our first show. I'd love to learn from the experts. And so please tell me what kind of things can go wrong, especially if you're doing a radio show.
Right. Well, I discovered one the other day, Bobby. Well, it's the other day. It was about I don't know, a couple of months ago. I had on a client of mine, somebody that I knew pretty well, but for whatever reason, their internet connection or their connections of some description weren't working properly. It was all going well towards at the beginning of the show when we're doing the sound checks and that sort of thing, but in the first 30 seconds I kind of recognized that, hang on, this you're not coming across properly, in an audio sense or in a visual sense. And so I remember thinking that this is going to go pear-shaped. What's gonna happen? And sure enough, after about a minute and a half, whatever it was, his connection just dropped out completely. Now, when you're on live radio, you've got a spot to fill. And of course, when you've got somebody on as a guest, as I was joking about before, the production of the content is easy. As the interviewer, you just ask the questions, right? But then the interviewee wasn't there to answer them. So I had 9 minutes to fill, Bobby. And hopefully I didn't scare the audience off that day. I actually got some emails saying, Steve, you did that so well. You did that so well. Really? I was flying by the seat of my pants. Things do go wrong. It's live radio. It's like a live presentation. You just have to roll with it and make it work, Bobby. But it's a good experience to have.
It is, and I think if you were on a music radio station, they would have played something like Queen Bohemian Rhapsody, which is about 7 minutes long. And yes, we'll just cover that, and you're just there because 10 minutes is a long time if you're, not prepared for that. And you obviously did very well out of that. But guys, if you want to learn from the expert in referral networking at our free webinar on the 10th of June at 10 a.m., the details are in the chat. Steve's going to be there to give you all the hints and tips of how you can be a referral king or queen. Thank you so much for your time, mate. I really appreciate what you do, not only for us as a club, but also for your members and also for business owners around Australia. And our last guest today works with business owners to create and craft their perfect pitch. One where your message is clear, you are able to deliver with confidence and ultimately connect with your ideal customer. I've networked with Sarah Balling for around 2 years. I've been to a couple of her events and I was so blown away with one of her events that I asked her, hey, can you come and do that for my members? And here she is today. So I'd like to introduce you to Sarah Balling. How are you?
Hey, thank you so much, Bobby. An absolute pleasure to be on the show. Thank you so much for reaching out to me.
No, thank you so much. Like I say, I'm a big fan of what you do. I love your energy and your passion, and I love connecting with you one-to-one. So anyone who is looking to connect with anyone on the screen, all their details will be in, I nearly said the chat then, so I'm so used to saying the chat, but all the details will be in the description somewhere for you to reach out to these guys. I highly recommend you have a couple of one-to-ones. So what is the perfect pitch? Tell us more.
Oh my gosh. So the perfect pitch is my absolute passion. In essence, I always say in the old days, I'm giving away my age here. When we started in marketing, and I'm sure everybody can agree, one of the first lessons we learned is you've got to have that 30-second pitch, right? So when you get into an elevator and someone, in fact, they don't even have to ask, when someone gets in an elevator and the door closes, you just need to spit out your 30-second pitch because your next prospect could be standing in front of you. Now, for me, that's a little bit antiquated because, first of all, who actually does that? Number one. And if it happens to you, what do? The first thing you're going to do is hit the button for the next floor, get out and hoof it. You're going to run for your life, in essence. So in many ways, I go, the elevator pitch is antiquated, it's old-fashioned, it doesn't really have a place in a space in our world. But, this is the big but, you still need that pitch that connects you, and this is the difference, connects you to the right person at the right time. When is the right time? The right time is when somebody says, hey, Belinda, who are you? What do you do? Or Steve, tell me more about your business. Or Bobby, what's this business club? Kamel, tell us about, the Proven Group. When someone actually physically asks you that question that you can respond. And then, of course, this is obviously going definitely into the business, Bobby's business club space and certainly into Steve's space as well, is where people are given the opportunity to introduce themselves and their business in a professional networking environment as well. What is that pitch? You need it to connect with people. Otherwise, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, it's so funny when I hear you speak. So I have memories of my very first BNI meeting where I was a member, and it was actually a trade day. So it'd be all these trades in. It was packed with about 80 people in the room. I had to do my first BNI intro, and oh my god, I was stood up for all these people. I was just like, oh my god, I don't even know what I'm talking about. I've got no idea. And that was the 30 seconds gone. And I remember every BNI member was like calling me, going, hey, you need to learn how to do that part. And I was like, yeah, well, I feel like I'm okay at it now. So, and it's quite funny if I turn around now to Carmen and say, hey, can you do your 30-second pitch right now? Would you be happy about that, or would you be ready to go?
Always ready to go.
Oh,
good job. And that's the thing as well, is often, when you look at business people, and even if you look at any business person in a referral networking space, they are not there by accident. They're not there because they've got nothing else to do. They are ultimately experts in their space, whether it's a builder, if you're looking at trades, whether it's someone in finance, whether it's someone in HR. The people are there because they're really good at what they do. And the magic with the pitch is saying, let's make the pitch, or let's allow that pitch to share your expert area with your audience, because not everybody is a speaker, not everybody is an extrovert, not everybody is ready for it. But if you are an expert, by having that pitch, you come across as that competent and confident business owner that you are.
And you mentioned business owners, and so who's the perfect pitch actually for?
So in essence, if you speak to anyone and everyone, you get no one, right? So let me just take that. In essence, any business owner who needs to introduce themselves and their business to anyone in their prospect circle needs a perfect pitch. And it's interesting when Kamel and Belinda were talking a little earlier, the business landscape has changed immensely. And certainly, in South Africa, where I'm originally from, the HR side, or the employment side, or the recruitment side is very different to Australia. And what I've noticed in Australia is how many people come to me to say, we need to make sure that our candidates pitch correctly so that they get the job. That's the one side. The other side is, and I think that was the challenge, Belinda, that you were speaking about, is as an HR agency, you're also wanting to pitch correctly so that you actually get the candidate. So our world is very different to what it was a few years ago. So the pitching can be in the buying and in the selling, so to speak.
And how did you actually come to start the Perfect Pitch Academy, and why have you structured it in the way that you have?
Okay, so I originally am from South Africa, hence the accent, just in case, and the zebra. And we arrived in Sydney, Australia, end of 2019. Talk about timing, fires, floods, and COVID. Anyway, that aside. And where I was from is in South Africa. I was the sales and marketing director of our family business. Absolutely loved sales, and part of that was obviously training our team, making sure that they were ready for exhibitions, for meetings, etc., etc. So the pitch was certainly in there, and I had a beautiful structure, a beautiful framework that I shared with my teams as I trained them through the years. In South Africa, my side hustle was I was a professional speaker as well. So I had the privilege of sharing some of the biggest stages alongside some of the greatest speakers on the African continent. Anyway, all aside, we arrive in Australia and, you know, just to put it into perspective, I had no friends, no family, no home. As if that wasn't bad enough, I had no contacts, no clients, no credibility. But what I did have was a big dream. And the dream was to speak on stages across Australia and bring my message to Australia. You know, a little thing, you might have heard of it, COVID happened. And of course, our world changed. And at that point, I went, how do I take all my passions, put them into a bucket, and see how I can change not just one or two people, but thousands of people's lives and their businesses, locally, nationally, and globally. So sales and marketing, bang. Speaking and training, bang, and a whole heap of experience. The Perfect Pitch was born, and the Academy developed over a couple of months as people said, we love the course, we want more. So, you know, that's how we built the Academy out to what it stands as today. And COVID was and is horrendous on so many levels, but it forced us out of our comfort zone. And again, you know, nothing good happens in your comfort zone. And I'm grateful for the opportunities that I've been able to take advantage of, you know, through these last very turbulent 2 years.
Well, mate, if we can make it through these 2 years, you can make it through anything, especially
you
know, changing country and all that. I know how difficult that can be, but you're doing a great job, and I'm really honoured to have you on the show. Like I say, I love what you do, and I'm really excited for people to come along on the 17th of June at 10:30 a.m. We have you can come and perfect your perfect pitch at our free webinar. And you mentioned, obviously, you are from South Africa, and this is a good little mini segue into a collaboration that we're doing with not only other networking groups around Australia, one of those is Steve's group, but also we are collaborating with groups in the UK and South Africa. So please keep an eye out on the social media channels, etc., for the dates that are going to come up, so we can join forces with lots of other great people around the world and provide our services to those great people as well. So please come along on the 17th of June at 10:30 a.m. There is some more information about the Perfect Pitch Facebook page, which will be in the details. Can you tell us a bit more about what we can expect from the Facebook page?
Yeah, so the Facebook group is it's a closed group but a public group. So you just apply to join the group or request to join the group. And in there, it's a place and a space where we give some tips, tools, and techniques on a regular basis. We share things that are happening in the pitching world. There's a lot of encouragement for people to actually, you know, share. I know a lot of Facebook groups say you cannot sell, you cannot share your this, you cannot share your that. We want people to actually come in there and say, hey, you know, this is Steve, this is the radio show I'm doing, here's the link. You know, we want people to really network and to connect with other business owners. So I'd love to see your listeners in there. I'd love them to have a little part of it and to take advantage of meeting other fantastic, high quality, like-minded business owners.
That's it. And everything that we do at Bobby's Business Club is about networking, and everything on the screen, all these events that we're holding, is all about networking. The guys you see on the screen right now, even though they are presenting to you as an audience, they're also networking because Steve's hearing about Sarah, Sarah's hearing about Carmel, and it's a really great way to learn and network with people without even having to do anything extra. And so I would highly recommend going to training courses, anything that you can get to where there's going to be other business owners. Is always going to be an opportunity to say, hey, what do you do? And it's always an opportunity to practice your perfect pitch as well. So I thought I'd squeeze that in the end. Guys, thank you so much for today. That's our show wrapped up, but thank you for being part of the very, very first show. I really do appreciate not only your time and your skills, but also being a really good friend of mine and being part of my network. So all of our details about the guests are going to be in the description, and all the details about the events will be there as well. You can go to Eventbrite, which there'll be a link for that in the description as well, where you can go and look at all of our other events. And also there'll be membership details in there as well. And one last thing is, I always like to say this, but I appreciate you and your business, guys. And thank you so much for your time.